Good morning and welcome to our Thursday edition of A View from the House. We are coming to you live from the SABC studios at Parliament in Cape Town. I'm Abra Barbia. In our program today, Deputy President Kgalema replies to questions from members of Parliament in the National Assembly. And later in the program, we'll bring you statements from members of Parliament in the National Assembly. The first question to the Deputy President was asked by the leader of the official opposition, Lindiwe Mazibuko, referring to the Deputy President's responsibilities in the anti-poverty campaign. Ms. Mazibuko wanted to know what steps he's taken to deal with the consequences of migrant labour system on rural families, especially women. In his reply, Deputy President Motlanthe conceded that the migrant labour system has contributed to deepening rural poverty and has had dire consequences for the dependents of these workers, notably women and children.
Some of the consequences include broken families, limited access to education opportunities for their children, and lack of work opportunities for the women who often were solely dependent on remittances from men working in towns and cities. In addition, various academic studies have pointed out that post-apartheid migration patterns have their roots in the homeland system of the apartheid government, which ensured that virtually no development took place in regions where the majority of our people were restricted. Studies also show that migration deprives local communities of human capital as people of working age leave their communities to work in other areas, especially in the mining towns. The health consequences are also dire, as those migrating have historically been confined to single-sex hostels and more recently to poorly serviced informal settlements where the risk of HIV infections is very high. Honorable Member, government's response to rural poverty is multi-pronged and consists of the Infrastructure Development Program, the Comprehensive Rural Development Program, and the War on Poverty Program. I wish to draw the Honorable Member's attention to the Presidential Infrastructure Coordinating Commission, which has set itself the task through 18 strategic infrastructure projects to transform the economic geography of South Africa. This will be achieved through the building of socio-economic infrastructure in rural communities and former homeland areas. This infrastructure will give our people access to social and economic amenities necessary to facilitate the creation of sustainable jobs and viable rural communities. In addition, Honorable Minister Nkwinti has said in this House that various projects under the Comprehensive Rural Development Program are being accelerated with a view to creating sustainable livelihoods for rural communities. Honorable Member, the War on Poverty Program was created to accelerate service delivery by identifying beneficiaries who are entitled to receive existing services from government, but for some reason or other are not. Thus, the aim of the War on Poverty Program is to address service delivery gaps where an existing government service does not reach the beneficiary and thus facilitates the necessary link to the required service. In short, honorable members, the combination of all these interventions should result in a reduction in rural poverty and create the conditions whereby people in rural areas migrate out of choice and not out of necessity. I thank you for your attention.
The DA's parliamentary leader then followed up with a question relating to the Marikana incident.
At the tragedy at Marikana, which claimed the lives of 44 South Africans and the ongoing mine unrest, which we've witnessed over the last 2 months, have highlighted the fundamental structural problems in our economy, which continue to keep millions of South Africans on the outside. I thank the Deputy President for his acknowledgement that at the heart of this is the migrant labor system, which continues to uproot families and to undermine the development of rural South Africa. Yet, as I'm sure the Deputy President will agree, there hasn't been enough done to deliver a decisive blow to this structural inequality. If anything, the plight of the widows of the Marikana victims illustrates that it's women who bear the ultimate brunt of this burden. Mr. Speaker, does the Deputy President not agree that the time has come for this Parliament, of which he is the most senior member, to tackle head-on the underlying causes of this ongoing socio-economic crisis? Does the Deputy President support the DA's call for the establishment of a multi-party ad hoc committee to address these problems?
Tragic events that have been unfolding in the mines, beginning at Marikana, are cause for very serious worry and deserve to be tackled and eliminated. That is the underlying social determinants of these problems are no doubt the migrant labor system itself. And if there is one good thing that must result out of this whole painful saga, it is the elimination of the migrant labor system. And I believe it is possible to eliminate it by ensuring that, first and foremost, the mining companies should allow these workers to go home once the period, the exact detail can be negotiated by the parties, that if they come to the mine and work for 4 weeks, they should be allowed to go home for 2 weeks and come back, or it could be 5 weeks, whatever is finally agreed to, so that the notion of home should be clear to all. Because at the moment, with the migrant labor system, they are separated from their loved ones, from their families for 12 months, and are only able to go home at the end of the year for a week or two. That should be happening at regular intervals of not more than 5 or 6 weeks of absence. That way, it would then be the task of government, as I indicated through the infrastructure development program, to ensure that the areas where they come from are provided with basic infrastructure, potable water, electricity, tarred roads, and proper amenities, schools, clinics, and so on. But at the moment, as we all know, the President has established the Judicial Commission of Inquiry, which is seized with the inquiry into what actually transpired at Marikana. And I believe it is advisable to await the report and recommendations of that commission. And the processing thereof, of course, would have to involve all parties, because this is a societal problem. It doesn't only affect one section of the population, but all sections of the population. So at that point, I'm sure that whatever ad hoc committee that is established to see to the implementation would be necessarily an all-inclusive structure. Thank you.
Let's take a commercial break. When we return, we continue with questions to the Deputy President in the National Assembly. Don't go.